Hollywood's golden era may appear dazzling on the surface, but behind the glamour lies a world of drama, tension, and deeply flawed personalities. Today we'll take you behind the scenes to uncover the untold stories of some iconic figures from this legendary period, stars whose extraordinary talent often came hand in hand with difficult, even destructive behavior. From fiery feuds and on-set tantrums to turbulent relationships and personal demons, these stories reveal a side of Hollywood that is rarely seen. So, buckle up as we dive into the complex lives of these unforgettable stars. Ava Gardner, celebrated for her sultry beauty and elegance on screen, was a Hollywood starlet whose off-screen reputation painted a far less flattering picture. While her talent was undeniable, her behavior often created challenges for those around her. One of the most infamous aspects of her personal life was her tumultuous relationship with Frank Sinatra. Although Sinatra was deeply in love with Gardner, she appeared to revel in the control she had over him. Her flirtations with other men, often intentional, were designed to provoke him, causing emotional strain that affected both his personal life and career. Gardner's difficulties extended to her professional life as well. On set, she had a reputation for diva-like behavior, frequently arriving late and keeping entire productions waiting without showing concern for the disruption. This lack of professionalism often included clashes with her colleagues. During the filming of The Sun Also Rises, she reportedly butted heads with Ernest Hemingway, who was dissatisfied with her portrayal of Lady Brett Ashley. Gardner dismissed his critiques, insisting she understood the character better than he did. Her unpredictable behavior was further fueled by her well-documented love of alcohol, which frequently exacerbated her erratic tendencies. Known for sudden mood swings, she could shift from charming to furious in moments, creating tension in an already demanding environment. Gardner's penchant for drama wasn't confined to the set. Her sharp tongue and dismissive attitude often alienated those around her, including crew members and fellow actors. Despite her mesmerizing presence that captivated audiences worldwide, those who worked with or personally knew her were often subjected to her less admirable traits. Ava Gardner's actions serve as a stark reminder that behind even the most dazzling facades, complex and challenging personalities can often lie hidden. Clark Gable, born on February 1, 1901 in Ohio, reigned as a king on screen, but was he a tyrant behind the scenes? The man who captivated audiences as Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind exuded undeniable charisma. His square jaw, twinkling eyes, and iconic mustache made him the embodiment of Hollywood masculinity. However, off-screen, the king of Hollywood carried a reputation far less regal. Gable was notorious for his womanizing ways, leading to multiple marriages and affairs. His legendary relationship with Carole Lombard, known for her spunky and bold personality, was a rare match, as she was one of the few who could handle his strong-willed nature. Even so, their relationship had its rocky moments. Lombard may have been special, but she wasn't the first or the last to be charmed, and subsequently hurt by him. Gable's co-stars often had mixed experiences working with him. Vivien Leigh, who played Scarlett O'Hara opposite his Rhett Butler, found him both irresistible and incredibly intimidating. His commanding presence worked wonders on screen but often created tension behind the scenes. Gable was also infamous for his lack of patience with directors and crew members. His ego was as formidable as his talent, and he wasn't shy about expressing his displeasure, leading to frequent on-set conflicts. One notable clash occurred with director Victor Fleming during the production of Gone with the Wind. Gable's temper was legendary, and it wasn't uncommon for him to storm off set when things didn't go his way. Despite these flaws, Gable possessed a magnetic allure that was impossible to ignore. He was a man of contradictions, charming one moment, infuriating the next. This complexity, however, made him deeply human, and in an ironic way, even more fascinating. So, was Clark Gable a king or a tyrant? Perhaps he was both. Yet one thing remains indisputable. His legacy as one of Hollywood's greatest actors endures, even if the man behind the legend was far from perfect. Joan Crawford, born Lucille Fay Lesueur, was a Hollywood icon whose career spanned from the silent film era to the golden age of cinema. She earned an Academy Award for her performance in Mildred Pierce and was celebrated for her beauty, talent, and relentless ambition. However, her legacy became deeply controversial following the publication of Mommy Dearest in 1978, a memoir written by her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford. The book portrayed Joan as a controlling, emotionally and physically abusive alcoholic mother, painting a starkly negative image of her. This depiction was later immortalized in the film adaptation starring Faye Dunaway, with scenes such as the infamous No Wire Hangers episode becoming cultural touchstones that overshadowed Crawford's cinematic accomplishments. Christina Crawford's allegations about her mother, Joan Crawford, ignited a firestorm of controversy, dividing Hollywood and fans alike. Some of Joan's closest friends and colleagues came to her defense, painting a picture of a kind and generous woman. Actress Myrna Loy, for instance, publicly stated that she had never seen any sign of abusive behavior, insisting that Joan was nothing but professional and caring. Others, however, shared less flattering accounts. Actor Cliff Robertson described Joan as having a dual personality, capable of extraordinary acts of kindness, but also moments of cold cruelty that left those around her on edge. Joan's own children were equally divided on the issue, further fueling the debate. Her adopted son, Christopher, supported Christina's claims, echoing descriptions of a controlling and often volatile parent. Meanwhile, Joan's twin daughters, Kathy and Cindy, presented a starkly different perspective. They maintained that their mother had always been loving and nurturing, expressing disbelief at the allegations of abuse. This stark contrast in accounts led fans and media outlets to question the truth behind the accusations. The memoir Mommy Dearest not only became a bestseller but also a cultural phenomenon, sparking debates across talk shows, newspapers, and fan forums. The subsequent film adaptation, starring Faye Dunaway, brought the controversy to an even wider audience. While some viewers sympathized with Christina's portrayal of a tormented childhood, others saw it as a sensationalized account that unfairly tarnished Joan Crawford's legacy. Fans of Crawford were quick to rally behind her, with many taking to fan clubs and letters to express their support. Some argued that Joan's demanding nature was a product of the era she lived in, an unforgiving time for women in Hollywood who had to fight relentlessly to maintain their status. Others pointed out the charitable work Joan had done throughout her life, including her efforts with the Screen Actors Guild and her contributions to hospitals and educational institutions. On the other side, critics of Crawford seized on the allegations as evidence of a darker side to the glamorous star, with tabloids running headlines like Hollywood's Darkest Secrets and Joan Crawford, the monster behind the mask. The controversy led to a renewed interest in Crawford's life and career, with retrospectives examining her films alongside the allegations in Mommy Dearest. Even decades later, the debate over Joan Crawford's true nature continues to divide fans and historians. Was she a victim of exaggerated claims, or was there a troubling truth hidden beneath the surface? Regardless of where one stands, the conflicting narratives have cemented Joan Crawford's place as one of Hollywood's most complex and controversial icons. Joan Crawford's own troubled past may offer insight into her parenting. Born to a teenage mother and an absent father, she endured sexual abuse by her stepfather and took on menial jobs before rising to fame in Hollywood. Some speculate that her traumatic upbringing shaped her parenting style. Despite the controversies surrounding her personal life, Crawford's contributions to cinema and society remain significant. She was a founding member of the Screen Actors Guild and actively engaged in philanthropic efforts, supporting educational institutions and hospitals. In the end, Joan Crawford remains an enigmatic figure, a blend of triumphs and tragedies, a woman shaped by both the glory and turmoil of an extraordinary life. Whether she was the villain depicted in Mommy Dearest or a complex individual scarred by her own experiences, her story continues to provoke debate and fascination. Judy Garland, born on June 10, 1922 in Minnesota, celebrated for her angelic voice and her iconic role in The Wizard of Oz, is often remembered as a tragic figure in Hollywood. However, like many stars, Garland had a darker side that contrasted sharply with the beloved image the public cherished. Her life was marked by dramatic highs and lows, and during her lowest points, she was known to lash out at those around her. One of the most contentious relationships in her life was with her mother, Ethel Gum. As a classic stage mother, Ethel pushed Garland into the spotlight at a very young age. Garland, however, often attributed her struggles with addiction and mental health to her mother's relentless ambition, even publicly referring to her as a monster in interviews. While Ethel's actions were undoubtedly flawed, Garland's harsh public criticism added another layer of complexity to their already strained bond. On film sets, Garland's erratic behavior made her reputation even more difficult. During the production of A Star is Born, her frequent tardiness led to costly delays, while her dependence on prescription drugs caused severe mood swings. This volatility often resulted in outbursts. In one infamous incident, she threw a cup of coffee at director George Cukor in a fit of rage. Her personal relationships were equally tumultuous. Garland's third husband, Sid Luft, claimed that during one argument she attempted to attack him with a kitchen knife. Although Luft himself was far from innocent in their marriage, this incident highlighted Garland's volatile temperament, which often remained hidden from the public eye. Garland's relationship with her children was also fraught with challenges. Her daughter Lorna Luft described in her memoir how Garland could be emotionally manipulative, sometimes pitting her children against one another or against their fathers to serve her own emotional needs. Even her friendships suffered from her darker tendencies. Garland fell out with several close companions, including Frank Sinatra, whom she accused of exploiting her vulnerabilities for his own benefit. Whether or not these accusations were accurate, they underscored her pattern of alienating those who cared for her, often burning bridges in moments of emotional turmoil. Bette Davis, the legendary two-time Academy Award-winning actress, born on April 5, 1908 in Lowell, Massachusetts, was renowned for her commanding on-screen performances and equally formidable off-screen personality. Her iconic eyes inspired a hit song, and her acting talent earned her a place among Hollywood's greatest. However, Davis's strong will and outspoken nature often created friction, earning her a reputation for being difficult to work with. Her candidness, while admired by some, also alienated many. Davis was notorious for her clashes with studio executives, directors, and co-stars, engaging in feuds that became the stuff of Hollywood legend. The most infamous of these was with Joan Crawford, her co-star in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. The rivalry between the two was so intense it transcended the film itself, becoming a hallmark of Hollywood gossip. Davis once famously remarked about Crawford, "She slept with every male star at MGM except Lassie," showcasing her biting wit. However, her sharp tongue wasn't reserved solely for adversaries. It extended to friends and family alike. Davis's personal life mirrored the tumult of her professional relationships. Married 4 times, each union ended in divorce. Her relationship with her daughter, B.D. Hyman, was particularly fraught. Hyman later penned a damning memoir portraying Davis as controlling and emotionally abusive. On set, Davis was known for her exacting standards and diva-like behavior. She demanded precise lighting to highlight her celebrated eyes and frequently clashed with directors who didn't meet her expectations. During the filming of All About Eve, she reportedly had a strained relationship with co-star Ann Baxter and was accused of stealing scenes to ensure she remained the focal point. Her unwavering dedication to her career often came at the expense of personal connections. Davis was unafraid to accept roles others rejected or to collaborate with people she didn't like, driven by an ambition that propelled her to the top. Yet, this same drive left her increasingly isolated, as many in the industry found her too difficult to handle. While Bette Davis remains one of cinema's most celebrated actresses, her off-screen persona was far more complex. The sharp intelligence and wit that captivated audiences on-screen could easily turn into cutting cruelty in real life. Davis was a trailblazer who shattered conventions and broke barriers, but her relentless pursuit of success left behind a wake of strained relationships and bruised egos. Humphrey Bogart, The actor who brought to life unforgettable characters like Rick Blaine in Casablanca and Sam Spade in The Maltese Falcon was just as tough off-screen as he appeared in his films. However, this toughness often crossed the line into rudeness and a lack of consideration for others. Bogart was infamous for his heavy drinking, a habit that frequently fueled erratic and aggressive behavior. At a party hosted by Frank Sinatra, a drunken Bogart reportedly caused a scene, insulting several guests until Sinatra had to step in and remove him, temporarily straining their friendship. Bogart's third marriage to Mayo Method was equally tumultuous, marked by intense arguments fueled by the couple's shared struggles with alcoholism. Dubbed the Battling Bogarts by Hollywood insiders, their relationship was notorious for its public outbursts. In one particularly infamous incident, Bogart threw Method off a boat during an argument, an act that was both dangerous and deeply humiliating. His contentious nature extended beyond his personal relationships to his interactions with the press. Bogart often responded to reporters with cutting sarcasm and dismissive remarks. During a press conference for In a Lonely Place, he publicly berated a journalist for asking what he deemed a foolish question, creating palpable tension in the room. Even his friendships were not exempt from his abrasive tendencies. Despite his close bond with Casablanca co-star Claude Rains, Bogart once humiliated him at a dinner party by mocking his English accent and theatrical mannerisms, leaving Rains visibly upset. Bogart's behavior on film sets could also be problematic. During the production of Key Largo, he clashed with director John Huston over creative differences. Frustrated with Huston's decisions, Bogart openly criticized him in front of the cast and crew, undermining the director's authority. Such incidents showcased how his larger-than-life persona sometimes alienated those around him, despite his undeniable talent and on-screen charisma. John Wayne, the legendary American actor celebrated for his roles in westerns, became a cultural icon, representing rugged individualism and moral clarity. However, his off-screen persona often stood in stark contrast to the upright characters he portrayed. In private and public, Wayne displayed behaviors and attitudes that were far from heroic, revealing a man whose views and actions frequently sparked controversy. One of the most striking examples of Wayne's troubling behavior came in a 1971 interview with Playboy magazine, where he made racially insensitive remarks, including an open endorsement of white supremacy. These statements shocked the public and tarnished his carefully crafted image as a national hero, exposing deeply ingrained prejudices that were difficult to reconcile with his reputation. Wayne's relationships with women also painted a less flattering picture. Though he was married 3 times, he was known for his infidelity and often engaged in affairs that were as manipulative as they were numerous. He reportedly enjoyed pitting women against each other, seeming to thrive on the chaos his actions caused. On film sets, his domineering personality often led to clashes with co-stars and directors, particularly when his political beliefs were at odds with others. His staunch support for the Vietnam War created notable tension during the filming of The Green Berets, where he dismissed those opposing the war as unpatriotic. Even among crew members, some of whom had first-hand experience with the conflict, Wayne's rigid stance and dismissive attitude caused discord. His authoritarian tendencies extended into his personal life, particularly in his parenting style. Ethan Wayne, his son, later described him as a loving but strict father who brooked no dissent. This rigid discipline strained relationships with his children, especially as they matured and developed views that diverged from his own. Wayne's friendships were not exempt from his abrasive demeanor. His longtime friendship with actor Ward Bond, for instance, ended abruptly when Bond voiced support for the civil rights movement. Feeling betrayed, Wayne severed ties with Bond despite their years of camaraderie, demonstrating how his uncompromising nature could alienate even his closest allies. While John Wayne remains a towering figure in Hollywood history, his off-screen actions reveal a far more complicated and often controversial legacy. Cary Grant was the epitome of charm and sophistication on screen, but his personal life often told a different story. While audiences were captivated by his good looks and effortless charisma, those who knew him privately experienced a more complicated side, Grant was known for his controlling tendencies, particularly in his romantic relationships. His marriage to actress Diane Cannon is a notable example. Cannon later revealed that Grant was emotionally abusive, attempting to dictate every aspect of her life, from her wardrobe to her social interactions. This controlling behavior eventually ended their marriage and left Cannon with emotional wounds that took years to overcome. Grant's difficult personality extended to his professional relationships as well. During the filming of his Girl Friday, he reportedly insisted on being shot from specific angles to highlight his best features, frustrating both the crew and director Howard Hawks. His vanity was well known in Hollywood, and he wasn't above inconveniencing others to protect his carefully curated image. Additionally, Grant's reputation for frugality often bordered on stinginess. Despite being one of the highest-paid actors of his era, he was infamous for avoiding picking up dinner checks and even charging fans for autographs, a stark contrast to the generous and affable persona he projected on screen. Grant's struggles with his identity further added to his complexity. Born Archibald Leach in Bristol, England, he worked tirelessly to distance himself from his working-class roots. He adopted a mid-Atlantic accent and even changed his name, crafting an image of refinement that he fiercely protected. Any reminders of his past or challenges to his polished persona were often met with hostility. While Cary Grant's on-screen charm made him a Hollywood icon, his off-screen behavior painted a picture of a man riddled with insecurities and contradictions. His story is a reminder that even the most dazzling public personas can mask darker, more complicated truths. Marlene Dietrich, born December 27, 1901 in Berlin, was the German-American actress and singer who epitomized elegance, beauty, and sexual ambiguity, rose to international stardom through roles in films like The Blue Angel and Morocco. However, behind the scenes, she was known for being difficult to work with, marked by her sharp tongue and dismissive attitude. One of the most discussed aspects of Dietrich's life was her string of affairs with both men and women, an openness that was groundbreaking for her era. Yet the way she navigated these relationships was often problematic. She had affairs with co-stars, directors, and even military officers during World War II, frequently disregarding their marital statuses. This casual approach to relationships often led to broken marriages and strained friendships. Dietrich also had a reputation for diva-like behavior on set. She was notoriously meticulous about lighting and camera angles, frequently clashing with directors and cinematographers to ensure she looked her best. While some admired this as a testament to her dedication to her craft, others saw it as self-absorbed and demanding. Her high expectations extended beyond her professional life. In her personal relationships, she often demanded extravagant gifts and constant attention. Her relationship with her daughter Maria Riva was particularly fraught. Dietrich was frequently absent, both emotionally and physically, as her career always took precedence over her family. In her memoir, Maria described her mother as manipulative and controlling, often resorting to emotional blackmail to achieve her own ends. This strained dynamic reflected Dietrich's broader pattern of prioritizing her desires and ambitions over meaningful personal connections. In her later years, Dietrich became increasingly isolated. Her demanding behavior had alienated many in Hollywood, and as her star faded, she became even more difficult to work with. She spent the final decade of her life in seclusion in Paris, avoiding the public eye and turning down most interviews. This self-imposed exile encapsulated the contradictions of her personality, a blend of glamour and vulnerability, kindness and cruelty that left an indelible mark on both her career and personal life. Vivien Leigh, born Vivien Mary Hartley on November 5, 1913 in Darjeeling, Bengal Presidency, British India, renowned for her unforgettable performances in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, was a powerhouse on screen but often proved to be a challenging figure off it. Her beauty and immense talent were undeniable, but they were accompanied by an air of arrogance and a razor-sharp tongue that could wound those around her. Leigh's intense dedication to her craft often veered into demanding and, at times, harsh behavior on set. She was notorious for insisting on multiple takes even when the rest of the cast and crew were satisfied, frequently pushing her colleagues to their limits. Her perfectionism, while a hallmark of her success, sometimes crossed into outright rudeness. Leigh's personal life was equally turbulent. Her marriage to Laurence Olivier, one of the most celebrated actors of his time, is often romanticized, but the reality was far more complex. Leigh's possessive nature and frequent unfounded accusations of infidelity created a volatile dynamic, fueling many heated arguments and making their private life anything but tranquil. Her insecurities often overshadowed their relationship, turning what could have been a partnership of equals into a battleground of egos. Beyond her personal relationships, Leigh developed a reputation for being elitist and dismissive of those she deemed inferior, whether in terms of talent or social standing. This attitude did little to endear her to others in Hollywood, a place already rife with inflated egos and fragile alliances. Many who encountered her found her snobbish demeanor alienating in an industry where collaboration is key. Adding to the complexity of Leigh's personality was her struggle with bipolar disorder, a condition poorly understood at the time. While this undoubtedly contributed to some of her erratic behavior, it didn't fully excuse the way she treated others. Many colleagues felt she leaned on her mental health challenges as a justification for her mistreatment of those around her, further complicating her legacy. Despite these challenges, Leigh's brilliance on screen remains undisputed, even if her off-screen persona left much to be desired. Frank Sinatra, famously nicknamed Old Blue Eyes, was a towering figure in the entertainment industry, with a career spanning 6 decades that left an undeniable legacy in music, film, and television. While celebrated for his smooth voice and captivating stage presence, Sinatra was equally infamous for his fiery temper and abrasive behavior. One of the most notable aspects of his personality was his leadership of the Rat Pack, a group of entertainers known for their hard-partying lifestyle. Although their antics were often seen as charming, Sinatra's role as the group's unofficial leader sometimes revealed a controlling side. He was known to reprimand members who didn't meet his expectations, causing tension and strained relationships within the group. Sinatra's volatility extended beyond his friends to his professional life. He had a reputation for clashing with directors, producers, and co-stars, often demanding that things be done his way. During the filming of From Here to Eternity, he reportedly had heated arguments with director Fred Zinnemann, insisting on changes to scenes. This difficult behavior made studios wary of working with him, despite his undeniable talent. His personal relationships were no less tumultuous. Married 4 times and involved in numerous affairs, Sinatra's love life was as dramatic as his career. His marriage to Ava Gardner was particularly explosive, marked by fierce arguments and allegations of infidelity on both sides. His possessiveness and jealousy toward the women in his life were traits that often drew criticism. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of Sinatra's life was his alleged ties to organized crime. While never conclusively proven, rumors of his connections to criminal figures have persisted, fueled by his well-documented friendships with individuals known to have such ties. These associations cast a shadow over his reputation, adding an air of intrigue and menace to his already complex personality. In public, Sinatra's temper sometimes boiled over, with multiple reports of him lashing out at fans and journalists. Whether it was a fan approaching him at an inconvenient moment or a journalist asking a question he disliked, his outbursts became a recurring theme in his interactions. Despite these flaws, Sinatra's contributions to music and film remain unparalleled. He is remembered as an icon of entertainment, though his legacy is a complicated one, a mix of extraordinary brilliance and moments of behavior that were far less admirable. Sinatra embodied contrasts, capable of great kindness, but equally prone to anger and pettiness, making him one of the most fascinating and flawed figures in the history of show business. These Hollywood legends remind us that even the brightest stars can cast long shadows. Their contributions to film and entertainment are undeniable, but their personal struggles and controversies offer valuable lessons about the cost of fame and power. What do you think of these stars and their stories? Do their off-screen actions change how you view their on-screen legacy? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's hidden history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating content. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.